Hello and welcome back to Fair City Gaming. I'm your host Kevin and we are back with some more Dark Souls. So in the last video we finally managed to defeat the four kings and began our journey into the demon ruins before getting smashed by the first enemy we came across. After that I remembered that there's actually a master pyromancer that appears after you max out your pyromancy flame the first time. So that's where we're going now. I've already spoken to her and maxed out my pyromancy flame, but she does have a lot of really good spells for us to buy. Some of them are disgustingly expensive though. She's also surrounded by the usual kind of annoying enemies in Blighttown. So we will need some anti-Blighttown gear. Actually, might be worth. Don't want to be fat rolling, no. That'll do. So this equipment gives us a little bit more poison resistance, which is mandatory down here. Oh, missed. Love it. Nothing better than a big pile of shite. Oh. Don't think I didn't see you there. Nuisance beasties. So we finally get to test out this ring that we found at Artorias' grave. Massively increases your critical attack damage. That's backstabs and ripostes. Oh. When rolling, don't roll into a wall. Now these bugs continue to respawn 7 times, I think it is, until you reload the area. See, I was sure there was a third one. There he is. This is the reason why we've not bothered to cure our poison just now, because there's every chance we'll be afflicted with it again. So no point wasting the remedies. Sneaky. A lot of hassle for some pyromancies, but they are worth it. They are phenomenal. So we'll just pick up this. As you can see, I've got a lot more humanity than I had the last time. I went down to the depths and farmed those lovely rats that we have down there. I really want to be human in the next area because there's an NPC invader that we can fight, and if you defeat him in 3 different areas, he drops his armor.
Ah, it has been some time, truth be told. I thought you had perished.
No faith. So we've already maxed that out. So here we have the fire orb that we already have, but we have an upgraded fireball, a lesser version of the Chaos Firestorm that we got from the Chaos Covenant, Fire Whip, which is handy if you're dealing with crowds, but I've never really been a fan of it, and an upgrade of Combustion, which is what we're here for. Undead Rapport has its uses, but nothing that we're likely to be using. So Great Fireball is slightly less effective than the Chaos Fireball that we've bought, but
Now go.
it is
Whatever
still
you do, lest my
a
time.
really powerful spell, and it has the benefit of only taking up 1 spell slot, whereas the Chaos spells take up 2. So, because we have the Height of Laziness, we are just going to warp back to that bonfire. Change up our equipment. Now this is actually the set that we stole from the Ceaseless Discharge boss, and that's the same set that that Pyromancer is wearing. So if you follow her questline, you discover that it is in fact one of the lost sisters of Izalith, one of which we've killed and one of which we serve in the Chaos Covenant. So the lore behind that is that their mother, the original witch of Izalith, tried to replicate the fire, the first flame, when they first discovered that the flame was beginning to fade. But she lost control of the fire, and unfortunately that's what gave birth to all demons. And it seemed to overcome her family, with only Quilana, that's the sister that we've just spoken to, escaping unscathed, it seems. Just realised I'm meant to be human. I never ever bother lighting that bonfire there, because you can't warp to it. Literally only takes a minute to run round the corner. Hopefully it will last more than 2 seconds against that Capra demon. Such a come down after the success in the last video. 2 bosses just to run round the corner and then get smashed by a lesser Capra demon. Humbling. One of the other areas you can visit later on in the game as well, you can actually see this area from it. It's another one of the things I love about this game. It's how how different areas are all visible from so many different places. Somewhere up there. I've never really been able to be sure which one it was. I'll point it out when we get to that area ourselves later. Yeah, the interconnected maps, it's definitely one of the real highlights of this game. Okay, please don't kill me in one hit. Never mind. It's really annoying. So I don't think I've talked about the three icons that you can see under the stamina bar there in the top left. So that's where all your little personal buffs appear. So the hooded one is the slumbering ring that we're wearing that prevents us from making any noise. And I think that's an armor set in the middle, I'm not actually sure. That's for the wolf ring that we're wearing, which grants us extra poise. And then the three upwards arrows, those are the stamina regeneration ones. That's what the bonus that we get from the Mask of the Child and the Grass Crest Shield. They both give the same benefit, but you don't actually get two different symbols. There's quite a few different ones that can appear there. Okay, this time we're kicking his ass. Ah! Ah. Okay, so just to demonstrate what I was talking about previously. So you can't place a summon sign here, and that's because it's actually a doorway between two areas. Always watch your feet there. I couldn't tell you how many times I've fallen through. So I often use the white soapstone as an early warning sign for when I'm being invaded. You see there how it's no longer visible. Scumbag move, but you know. He's not difficult, but his armor set is covered in thorns, and just touching him causes damage. So you have to be careful. He's very, very susceptible to parrying. Okay, so that's an area full of those Capra demons. I'm in no mood for fighting all of them. So we'll just jump down here. Now getting too close to this guy, he can't eat you, which is really, really annoying. I much prefer just to spam him with fire. Kindle up. Sorry. Now, annoyingly, you can't warp to any of the bonfires down here. So this is basically our hub bonfire for this area. We'll go and look at him from the other side, actually. So yeah, that's a creature that's just clinging to the side of the wall. But it can't be interacted with here. It's completely passive to us just now. Oof. That's a stupid move. You don't want to get stuck fighting all of these little statues when that Taurus demon comes bounding towards you as well. Oh. The trick with him is to jump at the to roll at the very last second. I mean, the same can be said for just about any enemy. You want to delay your roll as long as possible. Oh, missed. Bail out. Okay. Plunging attack is just as effective on him when you actually land it as he is when he was a boss. Different demon, of course. So there's an ember all the way at the end there. 4 of those giant rock worms come out of the wall, come out the ceiling, and another Taurus demon. I don't really need that ember. I don't plan on using that upgrade path at all, so I'm not bothering with it. Leave that giant worm to its own devices. I think that's just a soul item over there, which is, again, little use to us. Now this doorway was one of the giant orange ones that was blocked. It's unlocked when you plant the Lord vessel. Cannot get down here until then. So this is actually why we needed 30 humanity to give to the Chaos Witch. Quelaag's sister. These skittery little bugs. Not strong in any regard. But can be farmed for sunlight medals. Now this door can only be opened if you, from this side, if you give her the 30 humanity. This is the only way to save a certain NPC. Because that bug there will kill him. Or it will drive him hollow. If you don't have 30 humanity or you don't want to give it up, understandably, because, you know, it's annoying to farm it in this game. If you don't want to give it up, you can actually just use poison or toxic mist on the other side of the door. And some other projectiles, like some weapons have special projectile attacks that can actually reach through the door as well. So you can stand as close to the door, central, and use some of these special abilities and still save the character. And we're not going to use this shortcut just now, we're just going to push on and defeat the two bosses. This next boss actually gave me so much trouble in my very first playthrough, despite being a reskin of a boss that we've already fought. So, yeah, change to that. Okay. Same tactics as before. Now the Fire Sage Demon is, as you can see, wreathed in flames. But in fact it does no fire damage at all. It's all magic again. I actually find it easier to deal with his magic attacks than I do his melee attacks. Especially at soul level 1, those melee attacks will absolutely wreck you. Really want him away from that wall though. So yeah, you want to be close so you can get in and do all this damage. See if you'll do. It's the leaping attack that you led with at the start of the fight. The thing hits hard. As you can see, his magic is not penetrating our shield at all, or very, very little. Ah, rolled too early. Such an annoying fight. So I forgot when we went in there that I want that. But we're also I forgot to buy Toxic Mist. Well, I don't have any souls to buy it now. Actually, I'll replace Combustion with Great Combustion. Okay, so we're not fighting any of the enemies this time, we're just going to run past them. This can either look fantastic or really, really bad. It actually depends on what move that Taurus demon goes for. Go on. If he does that leaping slam, you can roll right under him. Not a problem. They will not pass that doorway. The fire does. You can still be hit. And that hitbox is obviously on this side of the door as well. Okay. think I missed. No! The reach on that thing is disgusting. It really is. All that time farming that humanity just to have it smashed away from us. Okay. Well, we don't have any souls to worry about picking up this time. Still have to be careful rolling through there, because if you roll into him, he can still like move you. If you get too close to that giant worm, it can and will kill you. So you do still have to be careful. So because we have such low stamina, you can only really take one giant hit like that before you get staggered. So despite being wreathed in flame, it's still very susceptible to it. I need to get really close for that to work, unfortunately. You can see the poisonous smoke around him means he has actually been afflicted with poison. This is actually an entirely optional fight. The shortcut that you unlock with the Chaos Covenant allows you to bypass this and the next boss entirely, and most of the next area. Those melee strikes are absolutely no danger to you when you're up close like that. Oof. And that's that. It really isn't all that difficult. Just annoying. Now, that's a staff, that's the staff that he's carrying. It is absolutely no use to this character, so I'm not picking it up. But you can, of course, choose to pick it up if you want. Now, these little statues almost seem to be like mini versions of these demons, like the Asylum, the Stray, and the Fire Sage. I mean, there's nothing in the game to suggest that they're like offspring or anything. Just statues that seem to have been bewitched by the chaos flame that engulfed this area. Now, the story within the lore is that Gwyn was still in power when this all happened, because he then went and sacrificed himself to link the fire, and that's what caused the curse of undead. But when the demons sprang forth, he led his forces down here, and that's actually what the Black Knights are. Silver Knights that were charred by the fire of the demons.
Hello. What is it that you...
Aw, man. That's really annoying. So we're actually going to pop a humanity over here. So yeah, that's the explanation for the Black Knights being almost identical to Silver Knights. They were essentially corrupted. So we're going to change our spell again. Fire is going to be no use to us in the next fight. None of this is, in fact, so we'll just leave that at that. This is one of the more pointless shortcuts in the game. So you can go back down the stairs that you arrived through, or you can drop down into the Fire Sage's boss room. How cool would it have been to be able to do another plunge attack on a boss? Rinse repeat would get a bit boring, I suppose. You would think. So I'm not going to bother kindling this bonfire. I'm hoping to beat this boss first time. But I will rest at it just in case. So, nothing that can really help me here. So we need a lot of fire defense in here. Oh dear. Well, we don't need magic defense. Might just pop that on then. Even more fire defense than Havel's armor. That's ridiculous. What does that mean? Bring Wraith is then. I'm keeping my Mask of the Child though, because I like my stamina regen. Oh, shield. The Gargoyle shield had the highest fire, wasn't it? Apart from Havel's, which we can't use. Oh, Grass Crest it is then. A gold summon sign. Our boy Slayer. Okay. This fight is a peculiar one, because you can't actually stand on most of the arena. That's our pal from before. The Slayer is actually just about capable of defeating him entirely by himself. Until he closes the distance, he's actually really quite dangerous. Because of that attack. Okay, that was really annoying. I was just randomly disconnected from Xbox Live, so we'll get right back into that. So if you ever do somehow get kicked out of the game or whatever mid-boss fight, it spawns you back in at the boss gate. It's a tactic used often by speedrunners that don't want to carry on, like, if they're going to get beaten. It's actually quicker to restart the game than it is to have to run back to the boss in some areas. So this time I think we'll just stand here and let him come to us. No. Oh. Oh. Right, now that he's a bit closer. His attacks change a little. Oh. I guess I got caught there. You don't want to get hit by that, you don't want to be right underneath that when that hits. Now these individual appendages can be cut off and actually have entirely separate health bars. But that's kind of what we wanted because it grants us a new ring. And this allows us... we still take damage, but it's greatly reduced damage from walking on lava. Also, for the record, changing equipment mid-boss fight is not for everyone. Don't want to be under him when he has that wee temper tantrum. When his health gets really low like that, his jump attack becomes even more dangerous because he throws a fireball down as well. There we go. Now, I'm counting that as first time because I didn't die. But the game decided to kick me out. Absolute bullshit. Okay, so throughout this room there's a couple of item drops, mostly green titanite shards. It's actually one of the biggest boss arenas, but it is not pleasant on the eyes by any stretch. I feel like I've probably missed something, but I actually need to get out of here. Hurts to look at. And there he is, our boy himself. Now, if you don't open the shortcut and kill that bug, this is the last time you'll see our boy Solaire here.
Why? Why?
Certainly as he is.
After all this searching, I still cannot find it. Why? After all this...
He cannot find his son. Okay. So while you do still... while this ring does give you increased resistance to the lava, I still like to use Flash Sweat, just to stack the damage resistance a little bit. Now you don't have to run up these little logs that appear, you can just run across a stream of lava, but you are permanently losing health. And it does run you right up close against some new enemies that are a pain in the ass to fight, would be putting it politely. Giant dragon butts. Your first time in this area can be really disorientating. It's not, like most of the game, it's not clear on where you have to go. It's also not easy to look at. Give it a whack, but it's not a mimic. It's Oliver Grey Hero. Oh, hey pal. Thanks. I really don't want to have to fight this guy. I'm pretty sure he'll kill me in one hit. These. Move them. The hell hit me? Yeah, I don't think that worked. He still hit me even though he was miles away there. Okay. Right. That's really annoying. Without real ranged, like proper ranged attacks, they are quite difficult to fight. The one advantage is I'm pretty sure that they get bored, but I know they can fight each other. Or they hit each other. I don't think they actually mean to fight each other. Let's try going right this way then. Damn it. Now the orange charred ring doesn't protect you from normal fire damage. Just the lava. Okay, that's better. Yeah, without ranged attacks to fall back on, those guys, they're not worth taking on. They don't respawn, which is the only real plus side. We've come up there for that alone. There's no other reason to be up here. Can we survive that fall? Probably. A lot of people will play through this area and totally miss that. Easily done. And it can be even more disorientating trying to find where to go for the next area. There are two pathways, this one and the one on the other side of that building, that lead up here. Huh. Just realised I forgot to turn myself human, which means we won't get invaded. Now you can fight these dudes if you want. I'm not bothering. So these guys, nightmare fuel for some people. See those teeth in the top of their head? They can eat you. They are somewhat dangerous. They're not complete pushovers like they look. They're not particularly dangerous. Like, they're not difficult to fight at all. This woman can be though. And if you let her use her spells, she will most certainly kill you. Especially at soul level 1. That was another item we didn't really need to pick up. Now if you're human in this area, you'll also be invaded. So that's probably actually benefited us not being human here. The first time we've actually had to go toe to toe with a Titanite demon. I have no intention of fighting him. They hit far too hard. I have far too much health for me to be bothering with on a soul level 1 playthrough. But that is us on the other side of that shortcut. We've really come back for this guy. Now, if you don't act and save
Was it all a lie?
this boy
Have I
from
died
his
all for
fate,
nothing? Oh,
you will have to
my
fight him
dear
in his hollowed
son.
form.
What now? What should I do? My son. My dear, dear son.
Jury's out on whether you've done the right thing, of
Was
course.
it all a lie? Oh, my...
I personally think saving him is the best thing. There are those who disagree. So this shortcut is the reason why most people will level up the Chaos Covenant. Not just to save Solaire, but to get to that side. Where that woman was is actually where the next boss is. So to get to that boss without taking any damage is much easier from this side, because from the other side you will be dealing with lava. Whereas here you've just got that obstacle course there and the Titanite demon. If you're unlucky, the Titanite demon might get you. We're actually going to leave this area just now, because I don't want to fight that boss just now. Or will we? Yeah, we will. We'll just go for it. So, Poppy Humanity. We'll probably go with that just now. I don't normally like mid-rolling. But the next boss requires us to be able to stack some poise and take some hits. And this is the best way I can deal with that. I'm wondering, is it... Not settled on whether it's worth it. We'll try with fast roll and we'll see how we go. Still a tidy amount of poise that we've got ourselves. Well, actually... Right. Try to decide whether it's worth trying to get his attention or just running past. Oh, it's definitely not going to work. That's really annoying. Might try getting his attention this time. Missed my step. So this is the only Titanite demon in the game that respawns. So he is kinda good for farming if you're needing demon Titanite. But the area you fight him in is pretty restrictive. And not to mention, he deals an absolute mountain of damage and has a really high health pool. Plus it's soul level 1. They're really not worth fighting. So let's get his attention. That's his grab attack. You really don't want to get hit by that. Not really at any level. I don't know what just died that I got those souls. I'm not going to complain. If you're advancing Siegmeyer's quest, you'll actually be needing to come back here. This is one of the areas that he travels to. Damn it. We've actually missed one of the steps of his quest. That was one of the reasons why I was going to go away and come back. Damn it. Bloody statues. This is not going well. There. Another one of those chaos beasts there. Hello again, Kirk. Oh god. All that hassle. All the hassle getting there. Just to die in 2 hits. Ah, oh, Jesus. Okay. Close. Such a tedious run back to this boss. If you die, and there's a good chance you'll die, it's one of the more bullshit bosses in the series. Widely considered by most to be the worst. And there are some stinking bosses in this series. It's one of those ones where the concept was pretty cool, but the execution lacking. Now, a lot of people are caught out by when he swings his attacks there, that his tail also swings, so you actually can end up getting caught twice or even 3 times if you're really unlucky. But another thing that catches people out is that when he jumps, it's not just his staff that you've got to watch for, but his body itself. Seeing as he seems to be made of the same material that most boss weapons are. And well, must be pretty tough. Some more cheese. Looks like I hit just too early. It's fine. 2 out of 3. Shield and his sword. Cool. So, technically the first fight, but the last time we'll fight him is actually in the depths. Since we had the master key, the depths is actually an entirely optional area. So I'm going to do some of the optional areas in a separate video once I've unlocked the final area. 100% resistance shield, please. 63. So you want the highest stability shield that you can get. And a 100% resistance one. Now this first part is actually the easy part, as you can see. You just walk in a straight line, smack it in the sack. However, these things seem to be restricting the Bed of Chaos. The Bed of Chaos is thought to be the somewhat physical manifestation of what's left of the Witch of Izalith. So she gains some new attacks. That being one of them. Those souls are pretty much lost to the world now. I don't have to waste my humanity items at least anymore because I've defeated the invader. So there's 2... Oh, damn. There's 2 ways of exploiting the Bed of Chaos boss fight. Now one of them is to use a bow and arrow. And you can actually, if you line it up correctly, you can actually fire at each of the 2 sacks on either side from a safe spot. And you're at 0 risk. She cannot hit you. But we cannot use bows and arrows, we don't have a high enough dex. The other method is to switch the game off or quit out to the main menu once you've destroyed one of the sacks. as mentioned earlier on, that will actually port you outside of the boss room, and you start again. Thankfully, despite the bullshit nature of this boss, they were kind enough to not make the sacks respawn, so you only have to smash them once. It's like so many of the fights, the enemies, the bosses in this game. It's not difficult. Just really, really frustrating. But if I don't do it this time, I think I'm just gonna call it a day and leave it. Come back to it later. Ah, son of a bitch. Yeah. That is the end of that. So, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to check out our website, fcpod.net, and the YouTube for any future videos that we're going to be releasing. Hopefully we'll be doing at least another couple of streams later on this week, so we'll have some more videos up sooner rather than later. So I've been Kev, this has been Fair City Gaming, and see you next time.